I want to do is I want to teach you what go forward optimization is. And so I'm going to go ahead and start with this week ending August 1st, and I'm going to go ahead and bring back up this screen. I'm using, because I went and I used bigger, and we teach you this exact formula. You know, why would you use a 33 tick range bar this week? Because there's a formula that tells us that this is the size we should use. It's completely mechanical. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to say over 30 trading days, I have found, and I've tried this a gazillion different ways, 30 trading days has given me the most consistent results over time. All right, that's 6 trading weeks. If I go more than that, unfortunately, it puts, you know, it's not responsive enough. If I go shorter than that, it's putting too much weight on what happened last week. So I have tried this so many different ways, but in day trading, 30 days is my best, and that's 30 trading days. In addition, I want to trade or test on the target a multiple of 2 to 7, right here. So that means I'm going to go for either twice the range bar size here, so 66 ticks, up to 7 times this, so that's over 200 ticks. And I'm going to skip by 1. I'm not going to get all, you know, skip by 1/10 and get too crazy. I don't want to curve fit. I don't want to over-optimize. I'm going to let the fast EMA optimize, and I'm going to let the trend power optimize. Only 4 different possibilities, okay? Overall, it's that 168. But again, you would spend a week trying to do what I'm going to do here for you in about 15 seconds. Now, it's going to come up with the best settings on a profit basis, and there's a lot of different ways you can sort this. What I'm going to tell you is I get my best results, okay, one of 2 different ways. And there's the equity curve on how that would look. But I get my best results, if I look at the optimization, taking the best net profit or the return on the account. And it's going to usually give you 2 different settings. And return on account is just profit over potential drawdown. All right, and I've tested this both ways, and you can test by profit factor, by drawdown. There's many, many ways you can go, but eventually, like I said, you have to pick numbers, right, that you're going to stick with. So I'm going to go with net profit. Now, what is go forward optimization? Now, I cannot say and put into my results that I just made, you know, well, I lost $800 here, made $500 here, lost $500 there, made $2,700, $1,000, $3,800, because this is all back tested. This is not real results. But what if I took these settings and said, now, next week, I'm going to go ahead and trade these in real time. Actually, I picked the wrong date. Let's go back. I apologize. So I had said we're going to start on, what did I say, August 1st? Let's do a quick re-optimization. Let's get the best settings for that. Luckily, it only takes 15 seconds. So let me run this real quick. All right, we'll quickly run that. It's going to get us some numbers, but again, this isn't real, right? These are just back tested. This is trying to get this best combination over the prior 30 days, and now I need to live with this for the next trading week. This is how I do it, once a week. Okay, so now this entire week, I'm going to trade with those exact inputs, and I'm going to make 1386. I know, I get it, there's a little bit of commission, there's a little slippage, but it's only 6 trades, okay? So what is my commission, $30? Yeah, on RB, there's some slippage. I mean, let's say I had 5 ticks of slippage on every trade. I mean, that's 30 ticks of slippage, $4 and change per. So sure, $100 and something in slippage potentially. Now, this has no benefit for me being a manual trader and sometimes being able to override and even prevent a loser. So this, I feel, is my worst case, but this is a go forward. This is what makes all the difference between somebody who's hypothetically trading, somebody who's curve fitting, and somebody like us who I'm teaching you right here that you're then using your inputs going forward, okay? The next week I would use 32, okay? So now the week is over, and I know that this changes to 32. Again, it's just a formula over 30 trading days. I'm using range bars for this plan. Now look what happens when I change the numbers. Not too much there, right? Sometimes it changes dramatically when you change the size of the bars. I need to change the size of the bars because market volatility changes. Same optimization, it's the same 3 inputs. I know there's a lot of other inputs I could optimize on, but what you realize is there's always going to be usually 2 or 3 inputs, and that's about it. You don't want to overthink the various inputs. Because what will happen is you'll get great results in your back testing, but going forward, it never holds up. It never gives you a good go forward. So again, are these my real results here? No. But what if I said I'm going to take those exact inputs and I'm going to let this trade next week live? So from August 8th to August 15th, 5 trading days, it's just going to trade. And those setups are going to be mechanical on the screen. It's $1,088. And look, this is made up of losing trades too. Here's a loser. There's a loser, right? Friday wasn't that good. I mean, coming into Friday, it was up almost $2,000. But that's the way it goes. I mean, right? You just don't know that. But see some of the other trades, right? Here's the short that hit full target in that week. Here's a buy that hit full target. This day was 1-1. It had a loser and a big winner, so you ended up nicely ahead because your winners are bigger. Here's a trade that, you know, this one could have been a trade for profit if you were manually trading. It looks pretty close to the full target. So that's my point. If you're manually overriding, you may have gone out here with a full, very close to a full target. But regardless, it ended up picking up a short that ultimately, in a lot of crazy noise, got to the target. But these are results that you can actually trust because these happen go forward, right? These are settings that we use. So these can be replicated. This is a huge difference between what most everybody else out there is doing. So let's go ahead and finish it up real quick. Let's do 33 ticks. That's what we would use for the end of this week. And again, I do the same exact optimization, right? I mean, how hard is this? Is this hard? I mean, to do? I mean, how long does this take me once a week to do? And this is 100% automated. I mean, you know, it's not my favorite way to trade because there's some issues with it, but you know, think about it when we say this potentially is worst case because this is before we're able to intervene at all. So again, let's get the best results. There's different ways you can look at the numbers. We teach you all that, of course, in the university. Just for time, I need to kind of move along. None of those results there are real. I need to now say, okay, lock it in for the next 5 trading days, use the settings. And whatever the result is, I got to live with it. Okay, I could probably live with that pretty nicely. $2,646. I got to keep reminding you, this is one single contract. We got 2 more quick weeks to do here, and then we'll be caught up, and I'll show you something that's pretty dramatic. Again, optimize the same target, the same 3 settings, right? But if you went and did what I did when I first started chatting here and showed you, I did 60 days and said, all right, now we're going to start trading that in real time. You cannot have any confidence that that's going to work. Okay, you have to do exactly what I'm doing here. It takes longer, I know. And what will end up happening is 90% of your ideas will end up failing. The good news is we'll give you our 10%. You're not going to have to come up with all of these ideas. But this is how we do it. This is how you truly can develop a trade plan. So here, I get a loss of $504, right? No big deal. Put that in there. And let's do one more week, the most current one. At least the most current full week anyway. But the speed is insane. I mean, we could not do this without having this capability. I mean, we literally really could not know if this was going to work. And it's very important, let me point this out, that when you start to do roll forward optimizations, you can't trust 3 weeks like this and say, oh, this thing's awesome, get rich quick. You need to go back a ways. You need to force it to go through a variety of different market conditions. I mean, I like to have no less than at least 3 months, and no less than at least 100+ trades. And even then, the more I have, the better. Because why not go further back? Why not make it prove itself? I mean, eventually markets do change, and you need to adjust. But you know, it should be something that's working for you somewhat consistently, or it's going to break down in real time, and that's obviously not what you want to happen. So last week, $1,016, all right? So this is literally back to February. So I got February, March, April, May, June, July, August, 7+ months. Roll forward optimization, it's averaging $646 per week. That's the good weeks and the bad weeks, okay? Overall, one single contract. I mean, you can do the math on this, right? If you had $646, okay, 4, 6 times 52 weeks, I mean, what do you have over the course of a year? Over $34,000, almost $34,000, and that's without increasing your contracts. It's probably 70, 80, 90,000 if you let yourself go up to a second contract and a third contract. Let's say each time you get to another $10,000 in profit, you add a contract. It's no additional work, all right? Especially at 1, 2, 3, 4 contracts, it's not going to add any additional slippage and very little on the cost side for no additional work. That's a huge difference. And look at the averages here. These are very, very good, but I almost doubled the average, literally just by changing. I had this concept, and I think it was going to work, but I couldn't just start trading in real time. I have to prove that it's going to work. I have to know my worst case, all right? This is extremely valuable. Let me show you the DAX futures, all right? This is a single contract. I mean, this is what we've been doing literally back to beginning of 2013 as well. I mean, look at all these. And we have plans that go back for 2+ years. All right, this is almost coming in on 2 years. Every single week in a go forward, roll forward optimization. It's got bad stretches in it, right? But over time, you will do very, very well. Now, DAX requires a bigger account. It does, okay? However, this one was averaging over, since I just kind of wanted to go back over equal time, since May, about $600 per week. However, I did the same exact concept I showed you on Unleaded Gas, and I got my averages up quite a bit. Now, I haven't filled in the blanks here, but let's just do, maybe we'll do 1 week here. I don't want to spend too much time because Troy's got some great stuff to show you. But let me show you the DAX, August 1st. Let's just quickly bring this up here. Very similar approach. I'm going to do 9 points for the range. I'm going to do August 1st. And, I can ask you the same question as I did before. If I go ahead and optimize here, can I just trust that go forward? Well, look what just happened. I used the same exact settings that I optimized September. They're not working that well, right, back in August. Okay, that's one reason why I believe you have to do what we're doing here, which you have to adjust your settings on a regular basis. If you don't, I believe you're going to have an issue. Let me go ahead and I got to close the screen here real quick to more quickly get to each one of these settings. All right, so let's go ahead and do our target, 2 to 7. We're going to go ahead and optimize the same exact settings, and this one here. And we're going to get our results. We're going to get some huge results. This is a single contract in Eurodollars. This market can make a lot in a given week. It can also draw you down. You cannot trade this with $5 grand. I mean, there are markets, trust me, that you'll be able to. I'm not showing you in this case. This market's saying that you're going to get these kind of results doing it that way. And actually, that is a little. I gotta close this out. It sometimes likes to do that. So let's go ahead and sort this. All right. So the best combination, 13,000 in profit. Look at the worst combination though, minus 8,800. Right. That's something you got to really keep in mind. That's my point. That you have to realize that you can take the same strategy, the same rules, and just by changing inputs can have dramatically different results, honestly, both good and bad. So that's why this now pushing forward optimization is so critical to building your trust. But right there, $1,573 that I can go ahead and record right here and just bumps up my average. I mean, my average is going to bump over 1,000. If I did the rest here, I know I had 3 positive weeks, 1 negative. And I think it got up to $1,200 something dollars. I mean, literally doubling the returns over this stretch of time. I need to push back further, okay, to have more trust. But this is looking very promising. However, I do need to be aware of the 2 worst weeks, right? I mean, that's $4,500 down there. So I can't come into this with a $5,000 account, right? It's going to take more money. But look how many times it gets over $3,000 in a given week. I mean, a lot over the course of just a few months. Pretty substantial. So you can do the math on something like that. And it's pretty easy to see if I did, $1,000 times 52 weeks, it's $52,000. Let's say you had a contract at $25,000 increase. I mean, certainly that 50,000 could be 100,000 over the course of a year. And we're just talking trading a couple contracts. We're not talking trading crazy amounts. And that's how we build our trade plans with the Trend Trader in the Premier Trader University. So I hope you picked up a few things there. The 30 days is really key. Do not trust a hypothetical backtest and go forward with it. Force it to go forward week by week by week by week. It takes a little bit of time, but this is how we build it. This is how we do it week to week to week.